They say marriage is like a board game. If that's true, then mine was Monopoly, and I'd been landing on Boardwalk with hotels for the past 6 months. My name is Eliot Grady, and I fix computers for a living. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps me sharp. What it doesn't do is impress my wife, Vanessa, who thinks my IT consulting business makes me about as exciting as watching paint dry on a rainy Tuesday. "You're paranoid, Eliot," Vanessa said that morning, stirring her organic fair trade coffee with the silver spoon her mother gave us. Everything in our kitchen screamed expensive taste. Her expensive taste. The granite countertops, the imported tiles, the espresso machine that cost more than my first car. "Paranoid about what?" I asked, though I knew exactly what she meant. About Kevin, about me working late, about everything. She didn't look up from her phone, scrolling through what I assumed were work emails, or maybe something else entirely. Kevin Yates, my college roommate, my best man, my supposed best friend who'd been spending an awful lot of time at our house lately, always with some excuse about needing advice on his latest dating disaster or wanting to borrow tools for his condo renovation. "Just seems weird that your work projects always involve him these days," I said, loading the dishwasher with yesterday's plates. Vanessa finally looked up, her green eyes flashing with that particular brand of irritation she reserved for when I questioned her judgment. "Kevin and I work at the same marketing firm, Eliot. We collaborate. It's called Professionalism?" "Right, Professionalism." That explained why Kevin's car was parked in our driveway until midnight 3 times last week while I was supposedly at client sites that ran late. Funny thing about being an IT guy. You learn to notice patterns, inconsistencies, things that don't add up. "Speaking of work," Vanessa said, grabbing her designer purse, "I'll be late again tonight. Big presentation tomorrow." "Another one?" "Another one." She kissed my cheek, a quick peck that felt more like obligation than affection. "Don't wait up." After she left, I sat in our kitchen, listening to the expensive coffee maker gurgle and thinking about patterns. Vanessa's late nights had increased by 300% over the past 2 months. Her phone, which used to sit casually on counters and tables, now lived permanently in her purse or pocket. She'd started buying new underwear, the kind she never wore for me. Before we deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Mrs. Kitteridge knocked on the back door around 10, holding a plate of cookies and wearing the expression of someone bursting with neighborhood gossip. "Morning, Eliot," she said, stepping into the kitchen without invitation. Agnes Kitteridge was 70-something, lived alone in the house behind ours, and had made professional busybody her full-time occupation since retiring from the post office. "Morning, Mrs. K. What's the word from the neighborhood watch?" She set down the cookies and leaned against my counter. "Well, I couldn't help but notice that young man Kevin has been visiting quite a bit lately. He's helping Vanessa with work stuff." She adjusted her glasses. "Funny thing about work stuff. It usually happens during work hours." I poured myself another cup of coffee. "What are you getting at?" "Nothing, dear. Just that these old eyes see plenty from my kitchen window. That boy's car was here until past 11 last night. Vanessa didn't get home until after midnight." My stomach dropped, but I kept my voice steady. "Maybe they went out for drinks after working here." "Maybe." Mrs. Kitteridge picked up a cookie, examined it like evidence. "Of course, I also saw them leaving together around 8, in his car. Came back separately, like I said." After she left, I stood in my kitchen, staring at those cookies and feeling like the biggest fool in the city. The signs were all there, bright as neon, and I'd been pretending not to see them. Time to stop pretending. I spent the rest of the day doing what I do best, gathering information. Started with our shared cloud storage account, the one Vanessa thought I'd forgotten about. Took me about 20 minutes to crack her new password. She'd changed it from our wedding date to something more creative. New Beginnings 2024? Subtle. What I found in her photo backup made my hands shake. Not explicit pictures, Vanessa was too smart for that, but photos of her and Kevin at restaurants I'd never been to, Kevin's hand on her shoulder, both of them looking at each other the way she used to look at me. Then I found the text message backups. "Can't wait to see you tonight. E is working late again." This is getting complicated. Another $2,800 at a jewelry store. $1,900 for a private cabana at the hotel pool, and then, buried in the middle of day 2, a charge that made my hair stand on end. $4,800 for an adjoining suite at the Palms Hotel. A second room, booked under Ashley's name, for her ex-boyfriend, I realized. She'd brought him to Palm Springs, paid for his room, spent my money, our money, to facilitate her affair. The total came to $89,400. Call it $90,000 with the charges still pending. $90,000. To cheat on me? I sat back in my chair, feeling that cold calculation spread through my chest. Ashley had made another critical mistake. She'd used the business credit card for all of it, the card in her name, her legal responsibility. I opened a new browser window and started making phone calls. The first call went to our business attorney, Mitchell Grayson. I got his voicemail, it was 3:45 a.m., and left a detailed message outlining what had happened and what I needed. Mitch was expensive but worth every penny. He'd helped us structure the business, handle our contracts, navigate 2 lawsuits from disgruntled vendors. He was also discreet and ruthless when necessary. The second call went to our accountant, Vivian Shepard. Another voicemail, another detailed message. Vivian had been doing our books for 6 years. She knew every dollar that flowed through Patterson Events. She'd know how to document what I needed documented. The third call went to my brother Kyle, who was a detective with Seattle PD. He answered on the second ring, voice rough with sleep. "This better be good, David. Ashley's cheating on me. She's in Palm Springs with her ex. She just texted me saying she wants a divorce and she's taking the business." Silence. Then, "Jesus, I'm sorry, man. What do you need?" "Legal advice. She's been using the business credit card to fund this affair. $90,000 in 3 days. Chartered jets, presidential suites, Dom Perignon. All charged to her name but paid from our business account." Kyle whistled. "That's embezzlement if she's using business funds for personal use." "That's what I thought, but I need to document everything. I need proof that this was personal, not business." "Do you have the receipts?" "Every single one." "Then you've got her. Screenshot everything. Download all the statements. Get copies before she has a chance to delete anything. If she's claiming the business and the money, she's going to argue those charges were legitimate business expenses. You need to prove they weren't. Already on it. What else? I'm going to need a restraining order. If she thinks she can just walk in and take control of the business, I need legal protection." "On what grounds?" "Financial exploitation, theft, misappropriation of business funds. Take your pick." Kyle was quiet for a moment. "David, are you sure about this? Restraining orders are serious. They're public record. It'll affect her professionally." "She destroyed our marriage and embezzled $90,000 to do it. I'm sure." "Okay. Call the King County Courthouse when they open at 8:30. Ask for emergency protective order paperwork. You'll need evidence of immediate threat or harm. The financial stuff might not be enough on its own." "I'll figure it out." "Be smart about this, David. Protect yourself, but don't do anything that could backfire legally. Document everything, talk to your lawyer, and don't engage with her until you have a plan." "Thanks, Kyle." I hung up and continued working. Downloaded 7 years of credit card statements. Flagged every charge from the Palm Springs trip. Created a spreadsheet categorizing each expense. Cross-referenced the charges with our business calendar to show there were no work events scheduled during this time. Documented that the other women on the trip were personal friends, not business contacts. By 6 a.m., I had a 90-page report outlining what Ashley had done. By 7 a.m., I'd transferred $400,000 from our business reserve account into a new account at a different bank. An account in my name only, established to protect business assets during marital dissolution. Completely legal as long as I disclosed it in divorce proceedings. I also changed all the passwords to our business accounts, our website backend, our client management system. By 8 a.m., I drafted an email to our 16 employees explaining that Ashley would be taking an indefinite leave of absence from Patterson Events due to personal matters and that I would be handling all client relationships moving forward. I scheduled it to send at 9 a.m. By 8:30 a.m., I was standing in line at the King County Courthouse with a folder full of evidence, ready to file for an emergency protective order against my wife. The courthouse clerk was a tired-looking woman in her 50s named Dorothy, who'd probably seen every kind of human misery walk through her doors. She glanced at my paperwork without emotion. "Emergency protective order," she read. "What's the nature of the threat?" "Financial abuse and theft. My wife has misappropriated $90,000 in business funds for personal use while having an extramarital affair. She's threatened to take control of our jointly owned business and drain our accounts. I need protection before she returns from her trip and tries to access the money." Dorothy looked up at me. "You have evidence?" I slid the folder across the counter. 90 pages of it. She flipped through the documentation. Credit card statements, hotel receipts, the text message screenshot, my financial analysis showing the charges had no business purpose, a letter from our accountant confirming the funds came from our business account. "This is thorough," Dorothy said. "I'm an accountant. Thorough is what I do. You'll need to see a judge. Emergency hearings start at 10. Take a seat in courtroom 3B. I sat on a hard wooden bench for 90 minutes, watching other people's emergencies unfold. Domestic violence victims seeking protection from abusive partners, parents fighting over custody, people whose lives had exploded and who needed the legal system to contain the damage. I understood them now. I was one of them. At 11:15, a judge called my case. The Honorable Patricia Keene, a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s who looked like she'd heard every lie and excuse in the book. "Mr. Patterson," she said, reviewing my petition, "you're seeking an emergency protective order against your wife based on financial misconduct?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Walk me through it." I explained everything: the bachelorette party, the charges, the text message confession, the threat to take the business, the $90,000 spent in 3 days. Judge Keene listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "You've documented all of this?" "Yes, Your Honor. The evidence is in the folder." She spent 10 minutes reviewing my documentation, then she looked up. "Mr. Patterson, I'm going to grant your emergency protective order with modifications. Your wife is prohibited from accessing business accounts, making charges on business credit cards, or entering your business premises without court supervision. She's also prohibited from contacting you except through attorneys regarding divorce proceedings. This order is effective immediately and remains in place pending a full hearing in 14 days. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor." "One more thing. I'm also ordering you to disclose any asset transfers made in the last 72 hours. That includes the $400,000 you moved this morning." My stomach dropped. "How did you—" "I've been doing this for 23 years, Mr. Patterson. I know when someone's protecting assets before filing for divorce. I'm allowing it for now because you're the primary financial manager and there's evidence of misconduct. But you will disclose it in divorce proceedings, and if I find out you've hidden anything else, I'll hold you in contempt. Clear?" "Crystal clear, Your Honor." "Good. Petition granted. The clerk will provide copies of the order. Serve one to your wife immediately." I left the courthouse at noon with legal protection in place. Ashley couldn't touch the business, couldn't access our accounts, couldn't even call me without legal consequences. Now I just needed to tell her. I sent the text at 1 p.m., right as Ashley was probably having lunch by the pool, still basking in her victory. "Per court order issued today, you are prohibited from accessing Patterson Events accounts, making charges on business credit cards, or contacting me except through attorneys. Violation of this order is contempt of court. A copy will be served to you at the Palms Hotel Presidential Suite within the hour. Also, you'll be receiving an invoice for the $90,000 you charged this weekend. The credit card company has been notified that charges were personal, not business-related. Payment is due in full within 30 days. My attorney will be in touch regarding divorce proceedings." I attached a PDF of the protective order and hit send. Then I waited. My phone rang 6 minutes later. "Ashley." I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Then the text started. "What the hell is this? You can't do this. Call me right now. This is insane. I'm your wife. You don't get to cut me off from our business. Call me now, or I'm coming home and breaking into the office." I screenshot every message and forwarded them to Mitchell Grayson with a note. "She's violating the protective order already." Mitch called 5 minutes later. "David, I got your messages from this morning. I've reviewed the documentation you emailed. This is solid work. You've built an airtight case for financial misconduct." "She's already violating the protective order. Check your email." "I see that. I'm going to send her a cease and desist immediately. If she continues contacting you, we can file for contempt." "Do it." "I also need to tell you, she's going to fight back hard on this. The restraining order is extreme. Judges don't usually grant them for financial issues unless there's imminent threat. The fact that Judge Keene granted yours means she saw something serious in your evidence. But Ashley's going to hire a lawyer who will argue you've locked her out of her own business unfairly." "Then she should have thought about that before spending $90,000 to cheat on me." "I'm on your side, David. Just preparing you for the fight ahead. Also, about that $90,000, she's legally responsible for the charges since the card is in her name, but she's going to argue they were business expenses covered by the company. We need to be ready to prove they weren't. I've already got documentation showing no business purpose. Plus, we don't have clients in Palm Springs, no events scheduled, no networking meetings. Just her, her friends, and her ex-boyfriend. The ex-boyfriend is the key. If we can prove she brought him on this trip, paid for his expenses, that's personal use of business funds. That could be prosecuted criminally. Do it. David, criminal charges against your wife? That's a nuclear option. She went nuclear first. I'm just responding in kind. Mitch was quiet for a moment. Okay, I'll file the divorce petition today. Irreconcilable differences. We'll request an equitable division of assets accounting for the $90,000 misappropriation. We'll also file a motion to freeze all joint accounts pending forensic accounting of business expenses for the last year. Why the last year? Because if she's been doing this in Palm Springs, she might have been doing it elsewhere. We need to check. I hadn't thought of that. But Mitch was right. If Ashley was bold enough to spend $90,000 in 3 days, what had she been doing for the past year? Pull everything, I said. Every receipt, every charge, every expense report. If there's more, I want to know. I'll get Vivian on it. She'll need access to all your accounts. She's got it. I called her this morning. You're thinking 3 steps ahead. That's good. That's how you win these things. I'm not trying to win, Mitch. I'm trying to survive. Then you're doing it right. I'll call you tonight with updates. He hung up. I sat in my office, staring at my phone, watching the text messages from Ashley pile up. She'd sent 47 in the last hour, each one more desperate than the last. Please call me. We can work this out. I made a mistake. I love you. Don't do this. You're ruining everything. Each message was a violation of the protective order. Each message was evidence. I screenshot them all and sent them to Mitch. Then I blocked Ashley's number and got back to work. The process server reached Ashley at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. I knew because my phone exploded with calls from unknown numbers. Her friends, probably, letting her use their phones since I'd blocked hers. I ignored them all. At 4 p.m., I got a call from a Los Angeles number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Mr. Patterson? This is Craig Donovan. I'm an attorney representing Ashley Patterson. I need you to explain this restraining order immediately. Talk to my attorney, Mitchell Grayson. His number's on the court documents. I've already spoken to Mr. Grayson. He says you've frozen all business accounts and locked your wife out of her own company. Our company? And she's locked out because she embezzled $90,000 to fund an extramarital affair. It's all documented in the court filings. Read them. Those charges were for a business networking event. A bull. It was a bachelorette party in Palm Springs. There were no clients, no business purpose. Just her, her college friends, and her ex-boyfriend in an adjoining suite she paid for. That's embezzlement. That's absurd. Ashley would never... She texted me at 2:30 this morning, admitting to the affair and claiming she's taking the business. I have screenshots. Your client made a series of catastrophic mistakes, and now she's dealing with the consequences. Mr. Patterson, I strongly advise you to reconsider this course of action. You've effectively destroyed your wife's livelihood over a personal dispute. No, she destroyed her livelihood when she decided to steal company money. I'm just documenting it. The credit card is in her name. She had every right to use it. For business purposes, not personal, not to fund an affair. If you think you can argue in court that chartering a private jet and booking presidential suites for a bachelorette party is a legitimate business expense, be my guest. I'll enjoy watching you try. Donovan was silent for a moment. Then, what do you want? What do I want? I want my wife to not have cheated on me. I want my business to not have been robbed. I want my marriage to not be over. But since I can't have any of those things, I want a divorce. I want my business protected, and I want restitution for the money she stole. Ashley is willing to negotiate. There's nothing to negotiate. She's responsible for $90,000 in personal charges. The credit card company is pursuing her for payment. I've transferred business assets to protect them from her creditors. She can have her personal belongings from the house. I'll have them packed and ready for pickup under supervised conditions. Everything else goes through the divorce proceedings. You're being unreasonable. I'm being practical. Your client committed theft. I'm protecting myself. If she wants to fight this in court, that's her choice. But she's going to lose, and it's going to cost her a lot more than $90,000 before it's over. I hung up before he could respond. My phone rang again immediately. I sent it to voicemail. It rang 6 more times. I turned it off. For the first time in 18 hours, I had silence. I sat in my office as the afternoon light faded, thinking about the woman I'd married, the woman I'd built a business with, the woman who'd kissed me goodbye 3 days ago and told me she loved me. That woman was gone. Maybe she'd been gone for a while and I just hadn't noticed. Maybe she'd never existed at all. Maybe I'd been in love with an illusion. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was protecting what I'd built. What mattered was making sure Ashley's betrayal didn't destroy me financially. What mattered was getting through this with my dignity and my business intact. The revenge would be a bonus. Ashley came home 2 days later. I knew because the alarm system on our house sent me an alert when she entered the code. I was at the office, our office, now legally just my office, when it happened. I called Kyle immediately. She's at the house. The protective order says she can't contact me, but it doesn't prohibit her from entering the house. What do I do? Stay where you are. I'll send a patrol car to make sure she's just getting her stuff and not violating the order. Do you want to be there? No, I don't want to see her. Smart. Let her get her things and leave. If she tries to take anything that's not personal belongings, call me immediately. The patrol car arrived within 20 minutes. I watched on my phone through our home security cameras as 2 officers knocked on the door. Ashley answered, looking exhausted. Her hair was tangled, her face puffy from crying. She was still wearing designer clothes, but they looked slept in. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could see her gesturing angrily at the officers. Then she disappeared back into the house. She emerged 30 minutes later, dragging 3 suitcases. The officers helped her load them into her car, a BMW X5 that I'd bought her last year for her birthday. A $65,000 car that was titled in both our names. I made a note to talk to Mitch about the car. Ashley sat in the driver's seat for a long time after loading her bags. Just sat there, hands on the steering wheel, staring at the house. The house we'd bought together. The house where we'd planned to raise kids someday. The house that was now a crime scene of our failed marriage. Finally, she drove away. Kyle called 5 minutes later. She's gone. Took only personal items according to the officers. Clothes, toiletries, some jewelry, left everything else. Good. David, she looked destroyed. Are you sure you want to do this? Did she look destroyed when she was texting me at 2 a.m. saying she was taking everything I built? No, you're right. I just had to ask. I appreciate it, but I'm done feeling guilty about protecting myself. Fair enough. Listen, I did some digging on the ex-boyfriend. Guy named Trevor Phillips. Lives in L.A., works in tech sales, divorced 2 years ago. No criminal record. Seems like a regular guy who happened to reconnect with your wife and blow up your life. Thanks for checking. There's more. I looked into Ashley's finances independently. She's got credit card debt you might not know about. About $45,000 across 3 cards, all in her name only, nothing joint. My stomach dropped. $45,000? How? Shopping, mostly. High-end stores, restaurants, travel. She's been living beyond her means for a while. Why didn't she tell me? Because she probably knew you'd make her stop. David, your wife has a spending problem. This Palm Springs thing wasn't a one-time splurge. It's a pattern. I thought about our finances. I managed the business accounts, but Ashley had her own credit cards for personal expenses. I'd trusted her to handle her own spending, never questioned it, never asked to see her statements. Another mistake. So she's $45,000 in debt, just spent $90,000 she doesn't have, and she's about to be sued for credit card fraud. What happens now? She declares bankruptcy, probably. Wipes out the debt. Starts over. And the business? If she can prove she's an equal owner, she might be able to claim part of it in the divorce. But given the protective order and the fraud allegations, a judge might rule she's forfeited her interest through her misconduct. So I might actually end up with the whole business. It's possible, especially if Mitch can prove she's been misappropriating funds for longer than just this trip. He's working on it. Vivian's doing a full forensic audit. Then you're doing everything right. Just don't let your guard down. Ashley's desperate. Desperate people make bad decisions. He was right, but Ashley had already made the worst decision possible. Everything after this was just fallout. The forensic audit results came back 1 week after Ashley returned from Palm Springs. Vivian called me at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday, her voice tight with concern. David, we need to meet. Today, as soon as possible. What did you find? Not over the phone. Come to my office at noon. I arrived at 11:45. Vivian's office was in a sleek downtown building with views of Puget Sound. She met me in her conference room with Mitchell Grayson already there. That told me everything I needed to know. This was serious enough to require both of them. How bad is it? I asked. Vivian slid a bound report across the table. Very bad. Ashley's been misappropriating business funds for at least 18 months. Maybe longer. I only went back 2 years in the audit. I opened the report. Page after page of flagged transactions. Personal shopping charged to business accounts. Restaurant meals with no business purpose. Travel expenses that didn't match our business calendar. Cash withdrawals with no documentation. How much? I asked. $340,000. The room spun. $340,000? Over 18 months. She was careful about it. Kept each individual transaction under $5,000 so they wouldn't trigger alerts. Spread the charges across multiple accounts. Categorize them as legitimate business expenses. But when you aggregate everything and cross-reference with actual business activities, there's no justification. How did I not see this? Because you trusted her, Mitch said gently. Because she was your wife and your business partner, and you had no reason to question her expenses. That's not a failure on your part, David. That's just what happens when someone close to you betrays that trust. So she's stolen $430,000 total, the $90,000 from Palm Springs plus the $340,000 over 18 months. Correct. What are my options? Mitch leaned forward. Legally, you have several. First, we amend the divorce petition to include fraud and theft charges. We request full ownership of Patterson Events based on her misconduct. We demand restitution for all misappropriated funds. Second, we can pursue criminal charges. Theft of this magnitude is a felony in Washington state. She could face up to 10 years in prison. Prison? If convicted, yes, but that's unlikely for a first offender. More likely she'd get probation, restitution, and community service. But the criminal charges would be leverage in the divorce proceedings. What's the third option? We go public, file a civil lawsuit, alert her professional network, destroy her reputation in the industry, make it impossible for her to ever work in event planning again. I sat back, processing this. Ashley hadn't just cheated on me. She'd been systematically robbing our business for over a year. Money I'd earned, money I'd saved, money that should have been building our future. She'd stolen it all to fund a lifestyle she couldn't afford, and an affair with her ex-boyfriend. Do all three, I said. Mitch and Vivian exchanged glances. David, think carefully about this, Mitch said. Criminal charges will destroy her. She'll have a felony record. She'll never work in a professional capacity again. Her life will be effectively over. So was mine when she sent that text. The difference is, I didn't deserve what happened to me. She does. I'm not arguing the morality. I'm telling you the practical consequences. If you pursue criminal charges, the divorce will get very ugly. She'll fight back hard. It'll be expensive and public and brutal for everyone. How much more expensive? Could run $200,000 in legal fees by the time it's all done. I've got $400,000 in protected assets plus the business. I can afford it. It's not just about money. It's about what this will do to you personally. Divorce is traumatic enough without adding criminal proceedings and public lawsuits. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Ashley's face on our wedding day. Radiant in her dress, promising to love and cherish me for better or worse. I thought about building the business together, working 70-hour weeks, celebrating our first six-figure contract. I thought about planning to buy a bigger house, talking about having kids, building a life. All of it was lies. Do all three, I repeated. File the criminal complaint, amend the divorce petition, destroy her professionally. She made her choices. Now she lives with them. Okay, Mitch said. Then that's what we'll do. But David, once we start this, there's no going back. Once the criminal charges are filed, once the lawsuit is public, your marriage isn't just over, it's scorched earth. You'll never have a civil relationship with Ashley again. Are you absolutely certain? I looked at the audit report. $340,000 in theft, 18 months of lies, a business nearly destroyed, a marriage definitely destroyed. I'm certain. Then let's bury her. The criminal complaint was filed on a Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, every news outlet in Seattle had picked up the story. Event planner accused of stealing $430,000 from business she co-owned with husband ran in the Seattle Times. Local TV stations led their evening broadcasts with it. Social media exploded. Ashley's phone number and email were public from our business website. I watched on our company's social media as former clients and industry contacts began commenting, tagging her, demanding explanations. Her Instagram went from public to private within hours. Her LinkedIn profile disappeared entirely. By Friday morning, she'd been arrested. Kyle called me with the update. She turned herself in this morning with her attorney. Posted bail, $50,000, which I'm guessing she doesn't have, so somebody helped her. She's out but has to surrender her passport and check in with a monitoring officer weekly. What's the timeline for trial? Months, probably. Prosecutors building the case. With Vivian's audit and your documentation, it's pretty open and shut. She'll probably take a plea deal. What kind of deal? Probation, restitution, community service, maybe some jail time, but unlikely for a first offender. The restitution is the key part. She'll be ordered to pay back every dollar. Which she can't do because she's $45,000 in debt and just spent $90,000 she doesn't have? Exactly. So she'll either have to declare bankruptcy, which won't discharge the criminal restitution, or spend the next decade paying it off. Either way, her financial life is destroyed. Good. David, I have to ask, are you okay? I know this is what you wanted, but this is serious. Your wife is facing felony charges because of you. Because of her. Because of her choices. I didn't make her steal $430,000. I didn't make her cheat on me. I didn't make her send that text threatening to take everything. She did all of that. I'm just holding her accountable. Okay, just checking. Listen, there's something else. The ex-boyfriend, Trevor Phillips. He's been trying to call you. How do you know that? Because he called the station looking for me, said he needed to reach you, that it was urgent, that you won't return his calls. I'm not talking to the man my wife was sleeping with. I told him that. But he said he has information you need to hear. Something about Ashley that changes things. Nothing changes anything. David? No, Kyle, I don't care what he has to say. Ashley made her choices. She's dealing with the consequences. I'm done. But Kyle's words nagged at me. What could Trevor possibly know that would change things? What information could be so important that he'd track down my brother through the police department? Against my better judgment, I called Mitch. Trevor Phillips has been trying to reach me. Says he has information about Ashley. Should I talk to him? Absolutely not. Anything he tells you could be a trap. He's probably trying to help Ashley build a defense. Get you to say something incriminating. That's what I thought. If he has genuine information relevant to the case, he can tell his attorney, who can tell my office, and we'll review it properly. Do not engage with him directly. Do not respond to his calls. Do not let him manipulate you. Got it. But the curiosity wouldn't let go. What did Trevor know? What could possibly change the situation? 2 days later, I found out. The envelope arrived at my office on Monday morning. Plain manila envelope, no return address, addressed to me personally. I opened it carefully. Years of watching crime shows had taught me to be paranoid about unmarked mail. Inside was a letter, handwritten, 3 pages long. David, it began. My name is Trevor Phillips. I'm the man your wife has been having an affair with. I know you don't want to hear from me, and I understand why. But there are things you need to know about Ashley, things that explain what happened, things that might change how you see this situation. First, the affair. Ashley and I reconnected 6 months ago at a tech conference in San Francisco. I was there for work, she was there with your company. I posted 1 video, Vanessa. Everything else has been other people sharing their own observations and asking their own questions. You've been manipulating the narrative. I've been telling the truth. Kevin stepped forward, his brother Mike right behind him. Look, we get it. You're angry. You feel betrayed. But this has gone far enough. Has it? People are talking. At work, online, around town. It's affecting both of our careers. Good? Come on, Eliot. We used to be friends. Used to be. Past tense. Before you decided my wife was more interesting than our friendship? Mike spoke up for the first time. Maybe you should have been a better husband. The warehouse went quiet, except for the hum of the overhead lights and the distant sound of traffic on the highway. Excuse me? I said. You heard me. Maybe if you'd paid more attention to your wife, treated her better, she wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere. Frankie shifted position slightly, ready to move if things got physical. But I wasn't angry. I was curious. Tell me more about that, Mike. What should I have done differently? I don't know. Been more successful? Made more money? Taken her places? Bought her things? Like Kevin does. Kevin treats her right. By lying to her husband, by sneaking around behind my back, by helping her steal money from our joint accounts. It wasn't stealing, Vanessa said. It was my money, too. Moving money secretly while planning to leave is called financial infidelity. But let's say it wasn't stealing. Let's say it was just poor communication. What about the lying? What lying? I pulled out my phone, opened the audio app, and played a snippet from the park recording. Kevin's voice saying, "She deserves better than what you were giving her." Kevin's face went pale. You said you wouldn't use that. I said I recorded it. I never said I wouldn't use it. That's out of context. Is it? Should I play the part where you admit the affair was planned? Or the part where you say Vanessa deserves a better future than the one she had with me? Vanessa grabbed for my phone, but I stepped back. Give me that. No. This is harassment. This is documentation. Mike moved closer, trying to use his size to intimidate me. Hand over the phone. Or what? Or I'll take it from you. Frankie cleared his throat. I wouldn't recommend that approach. Mike looked at Frankie for the first time, taking in the ex-cop's calm demeanor and ready stance. Who the hell are you? I'm the guy who's been documenting this entire conversation from multiple angles. What? Frankie held up a small video camera. Audio, video, everything. All legally obtained in a space owned by my friend here. The warehouse erupted in voices, Kevin demanding we stop recording, Vanessa threatening legal action, Mike asking his brother what the hell was going on. But underneath the chaos, I heard something else. Car doors slamming outside. "Expecting more company?" Frankie asked. Before anyone could answer, the warehouse door opened and Brittany walked in, followed by 3 other people I recognized from game night. "Sorry we're late," Brittany said, holding up her phone, "but I figured this conversation should have witnesses." Vanessa stared at her former best friend. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here because Eliot texted me the address and said you were finally ready to tell the truth about what happened." "I never said that." "Didn't you?" I pulled out my phone again, scrolled to a text message. Quote, "We need to settle this before it gets completely out of hand. Clear the air, figure out how to move forward." End quote. That's not the same thing, isn't it? Brittany looked around the warehouse, taking in the tense faces and defensive postures. "So this is where we're doing this? The final showdown?" "This isn't a showdown," Kevin said. "This is a private conversation." "Nothing about your affair has been private, Kevin. You made sure of that when you decided to conduct it in restaurants, movie theaters, and public parks where people could see you." One of the game night regulars, a woman named Jennifer, stepped forward. "Is it true about the affair?" Kevin and Vanessa exchanged glances, having one of those silent conversations that couples have when they're trying to coordinate their story. "It's complicated," Vanessa said finally. "How is it complicated?" Jennifer asked. "Either you were having an affair or you weren't. Relationships are complex. People grow apart. Sometimes feelings develop for other people. That's not an answer." I decided to help clarify things. "Kevin, would you like to explain to everyone how Vanessa deserves better than what I was giving her?" "That's not what I meant." "What did you mean?" Long pause. The warehouse was silent except for the hum of lights and the sound of people breathing. "I meant," Kevin started, then stopped. "I meant that she wasn't happy." "With me?" "With the situation." "What situation?" "The marriage." "So she was unhappy with our marriage, and your solution was to have an affair with her?" "It wasn't planned. The text messages suggest otherwise." Brittany stepped forward, her phone recording everything. "Kevin, just answer the question. Did you have an affair with Vanessa while she was married to Eliot?" Kevin looked at his brother, at Vanessa, at the small crowd of people waiting for his answer. "Yes," he said quietly. "And did you help her move money from their joint accounts?" "It was her money too." "Did you help her plan to leave Eliot?" "We talked about the future." "Did you lie to Eliot about your relationship?" Kevin's shoulders sagged. "Yes." The warehouse erupted again, but this time it was different. Instead of defensive arguing, it was the sound of people processing information, asking follow-up questions, demanding details. Vanessa tried to regain control of the narrative. "This isn't fair. You're ambushing us." "Like you ambushed me?" I asked. "Like you ambushed our marriage?" "That's different." "How?" "Because we never meant to hurt you." "But you did hurt me, repeatedly, systematically, for months. We were trying to figure out how to handle the situation." "The situation where you were lying to your husband and betraying your best friend?" Vanessa looked around the warehouse, at the faces of people who used to be her friends, who used to respect her, who now saw her clearly for the first time. "This is exactly what you wanted, isn't it?" she said to me. "To humiliate us in front of everyone." "I wanted the truth. This is what the truth looks like." "Are you happy now?" I considered the question seriously. Was I happy? Satisfied? Vindicated? "I'm relieved," I said finally. "For the first time in months, everyone knows exactly what happened. No more gaslighting, no more rewriting history, no more making me out to be the crazy, paranoid husband. So what happens now?" I looked around the warehouse, at Kevin slumped against the wall, at Vanessa standing alone in the middle of the space, at the small crowd of former friends who were still processing what they'd just witnessed. "Now you live with the consequences of your choices. And you? What do you do?" "I move on." "Just like that?" "Just like that." The warehouse began to empty out, people leaving in small groups, talking quietly among themselves. Kevin and his brother were among the first to go, Kevin not making eye contact with anyone on his way out. Vanessa was the last to leave, standing by the door and looking back at me. "I did love you, you know," she said. "At the beginning?" "I know." "But love isn't always enough." "No, but honesty is." She nodded, stepped out into the night, and closed the door behind her. Frankie and I stood alone in the empty warehouse, listening to cars start up and drive away. "So," Frankie said, "how do you feel?" I looked around the space at the concrete floors and metal walls that had witnessed the final act of my marriage, like I can finally start over. "What's next?" I sell this place, pay off the remaining debts, start fresh. And Vanessa and Kevin? They get to live with what they've done, in public, with everyone knowing exactly who they are. We locked up the warehouse and walked to our cars under a sky full of stars. You know, Frankie said, most people would have just gotten a lawyer and filed for divorce. Most people aren't married to someone who tries to rewrite history and gaslight their way out of consequences. Fair point. I drove home through empty streets, past Mrs. Kitteridge's house where the lights were off and she was probably sleeping peacefully, past Murphy's board game cafe where the sign was dark, but the memories were still bright. My house looked different when I pulled into the driveway. Smaller, maybe, quieter, but also cleaner somehow, like a space that had been cleared of clutter and was ready for something new. I sat in my kitchen, opened my laptop, and started typing an email to a real estate agent about listing the warehouse for sale. Time to close this chapter and start writing the next one. The game was over. I had won. But more importantly, the truth had won. And sometimes that's the only victory that matters.